It's round of 16 elimination weekend at Bristol, and there's lots of storylines, so let's get into them. Let's start with the return of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. will be making his yearly return to the Xfinity Series in the Helmet 88, driving for his own team. In his 2 appearances last year, Jr. was able to score a 5th place finish at Homestead and was contending for the win at Bristol until the cars burst into flames. If all goes well, I can see him potentially collecting a top 5 or even a win, as it also should be noted he's driving for that same 88 team that won last week with Connor Zilic. Staying in the Xfinity Series, Bristol also marks as the regular season finale for the series, and to be honest, there's really not much to look at here. Currently, the only driver in any danger of not making it is Sammy Smith. And even then, that's really only if someone below the cut line wins, which isn't impossible, but it's kind of unlikely. The 2 biggest threats, I did air quotes there, are Ryan Sieg and Brandon Jones, but even then, they are long shots. Technically, there's a path for Ryan Sieg to point his way in, as it is possible to make up a 43-point gap on someone in the single race, but he would need a great run from himself and some help from Sammy Smith for there to even be a chance of that happening. If you ask me, I think the 12 you are seeing now are the 12 that's going to be in at the race's end. On a more interesting note, let's talk about the Cup Series playoff cut line battle. Currently below the cut line, we see some big names and a few surprises, as currently Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski all sit on the outside looking in heading into Bristol. They are joined by Harrison Burton, but I don't think anybody saw him advancing anyway, so we're just going to ignore him. Currently, they are chasing Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe, who both sit an uncomfortable 6 points above the cut line, while Hamlin, Keselowski, and Truex sit 6, 12, and 14 points below the cut line respectively. Meaning if any of these guys have a great run, they can very realistically see themselves above the cut line at the end of the race. Likewise, a bad run from any of them can see their championship hopes end of the round of 16. Both Keselowski and Hamlin have multiple wins at Bristol, while surprisingly, Truex has not been very good at Bristol throughout his career with an average finish of 20.2. But last spring, he did actually finish second, where he did split Keselowski and race winner Hamlin on the podium. Speaking of last spring, something that could play a huge factor in Saturday night's race is tire wear. In the spring race at Bristol, Goodyear brought a tire that wore like crazy. Saw many of the younger guys and other drivers who are not very good at saving their tires completely fall off at the end of runs. This was due to the fact that they were not preserving their tires. If you see another tire like that Saturday night, the effect won't be as drastic due to the night race and cooler temperatures, but it still will probably have a drastic effect on who we see advancing. Take, for example, Ty Gibbs. Last spring, he led the most laps, but was only able to muster up a 9th place finish. Meanwhile, Hamlin, Truex, and Keselowski didn't nearly have as dominant of cars as Gibbs, but they finished top 3 because they were able to preserve those tires, unlike him. So tire wear will be something to watch. Moving on to some spoilers to the playoff field, and for Bristol, I'll raise you 3 drivers. The first driver I'm going to mention is last week's spoiler, Chris Buescher, and that's simply because he played spoiler at this exact race in 2022. He also finished top 10 his last 3 starts at Bristol. We hop to another Ford driver with short track ace Josh Berry. Berry has shown great speed at the short tracks this year and qualified second here in the spring. He is looking to collect his first career win and potentially the last win for Stuart Haas Saturday night. The next driver is one of the greats at Bristol. We have Kyle Busch. The driver of the 8 has an absurd 8 wins at Bristol, and ever since the Olympic break, he's looked like a man on a mission. Honestly, I have a great feeling about KFB heading into Bristol, even despite the fact that he hasn't finished above 20th at Bristol since 2020. That actually transitions well into the favorites. Like every week, Kyle Larson is among the favorites, as he has finished top 5 in all of his career starts in the 5 car at Bristol. Or should I say tied for the best average finish, because despite the fact that he's not won at Bristol yet, Chase Elliott is tied with Larson with 11.6 average finish. Kyle Busch and his 8 wins at Bristol should also be mentioned in this conversation. While Kyle didn't win all of those races with JGR, he did win 7 of them, and that leads me to my win pick, Denny Hamlin. He won here in the spring, and for some reason I am trusting him to come through in the clutch. I may come back to regret this, but I'm going with my gut and going with Denny Hamlin to win Saturday night in Bristol. Alright, that's my show. Let me know who you have winning Saturday night. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the races.